recognizes as divine. He does not believe in miracles, but he believes that Jefferson was the greatest moral teacher of all time. He believed that Jefferson was lived the kind of a perfect exemplary life. He believed in one God. He believed that there was life after death. And he sees himself as a kind of a minimalist, rationalistic Christian. Now, he wasn't orthodox in any sense. He wasn't an atheist. He was more than a deist. He was, as he said, a sect of himself, a sect by himself. But he believes there is a God in control, but he does not believe that the United States should be a, quote, Christian nation. He believes in complete intellectual freedom. And when he writes his Virginia Statute of Religious Freedom, he wants to make sure that means religious freedom not just for Protestants and Catholics, and also Jews, but also Mohammedans and Hindu and everybody. He really believed in sort of complete religious freedom.
John, it wasn't until your book that I found out that he was also a scientist. He was an architect. What kind of things did he work with in science?
And well, he was a paleontologist. He was an archaeologist. He he dug up ancient bones. He wondered about the nature of fossils. He kept detailed meteorological records. Was very interested in weather. He was interested in everything. He said there wasn't a single blade of grass that sprouted that he wasn't interested in. And he liked to say that if he hadn't been involved in politics, science was his first love. He also was a linguist. He was a very distinguished architect. He was a cryptologist, a maker of codes. When in 1976, when the American Institute of Architects polled its members as to what was the most important architectural achievement of the first 200 years of America, University of Virginia won. He was in some sense was America's first architect. It's the capaciousness of his interest and involvement with life that I found myself really fascinated in.
Did he design the Monticello?
Oh, yeah, he did. He designed Monticello completely. The first version was a relatively traditional two-story house, and then he went to France and he observed all different kinds of architecture, particularly a new building new palace being built for a young German prince called the Hotel de Somme. That was a kind of a horizontal house with a low, flat dome. And then when he comes back to the United States, as soon as he has time, beginning in 1794, he begins to remodel Monticello. But Monticello picks up on all kinds of architectural ideas that he had gotten from books, that he got from his travels in France and travels in England and Italy, and then he kind of blends them into this relatively innovative classical building that reflects the best he thought of old world architecture, but it's on top of a hill, which was really quite unusual, facing the kind of what he thought the endless possibility of the American West. And so in some sense, Monticello, this picking up the best of the ideas of the old world and then facing the possibility of the American West, that building itself sort of represents Jefferson's mind.
He was also a gourmet. Am I correct?
Yes, he was a gourmet. He was he became a great fan of French cooking, and he had a slave named James who was he called him a servant in France, and he paid for him to learn to be a French chef. And when he got ready to come back to the United States, James didn't want to come, so Jefferson says, well, if you'll teach your brother to cook French, I'll set you free. So he does that. The slave comes back, teaches his brother to cook French food. Jefferson sets him free. So he loves French food. He also loves French wines, although he generally dilutes them 50-50 with water. But he loves all kinds of food, and he introduces European foods to the United States. And when he's in the White House or when he's at Monticello, his table, his food was one of the remarkable things of a visit to where he lived.
John, when he does the handoff to Madison after he serves his own 2 terms, what's that like? Is there any record? Do we have any knowledge of conversations or the transition to Madison?
Well, Madison had been his Secretary of State, and Madison had been his sort of right-hand man, so I guess they really didn't need much of transition, and Jefferson's Secretary of the Treasury, Albert Gallatin, continues as Madison's Secretary of the Treasury. So it was government was so small then. I mean, the whole population was about the population of sort of metropolitan Washington, D.C. now. Everything was so small that he didn't really need much transition. But when Jefferson became president himself, it was a very disputed election, and it wasn't settled until mid-February. And he took office on March the 2nd. He had hardly over 2 weeks for transition. There was no transition team. He just sort of became president. Jefferson, at the end of his presidency, was tired and exhausted and frustrated by the embargo and just completely worn out. It was almost as though his batteries had just sort of worn down. And so what he talks about the last few weeks is the relief he's looking forward to of getting out from under the presidency.
And I'm sorry.
Simpson telling the parole board he intends to live in Florida. Supervision arrangements will still have to be worked out. O.J. Simpson scheduled to be released by October 1st. The White House says President Trump still has confidence in his Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, even though he passed on the chance today to say so himself.
At the Made in America event that the president was hosting here at the White House, reporters shouted the question at him, do you still have confidence in your Attorney General? The president ignored the question.
Fox's John Roberts, but Deputy Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders added that if the president didn't have confidence in him, Jeff Sessions wouldn't be the Attorney General. Despite being diagnosed with a malignant brain tumor, Senator John McCain has tweeted he'll be back in Washington soon. South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham says McCain called him 3 times today with some straight talk.
No more woe is me, Lindsey. He is yelling at me to buck up.
On Wall Street, another record high for the Nasdaq, up 5 points. The Dow down 29 points, 21,612. The S&P 500 nearly flat. Lowe's, Home Depot, Best Buy, and Whirlpool all lower on the news. That Sears will sell its Kenmore appliances on Amazon and make their smart appliances compatible with Amazon's Alexa. Sears holding up about 10%. Fox News, fair and balanced.
I'm Nick Soboleski, a Select Quote agent with a true story that could save you hundreds of dollars a year. A woman named Linda just called. Her husband, Ray, has a $300,000 group life insurance policy, but is changing jobs and can't take it with him. Well, I impartially shopped the highly rated term life insurance companies we represent and found Ray, who is 41 and takes medication to control his cholesterol, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $26 a month. That's almost twice the coverage for less than half of what he had paid. If SelectQuote hasn't shopped for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote, call 1-800-224-5353. That's 1-800-224-5353. 1-800-224-5353. Or go to SelectQuote.com. We shop, you save. Get full details on the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Your price can vary depending on your health. Issuing company.
Employees and friends. Comments regarding WNDB's programming can be addressed to D. Lang at DaytonaRadio.com.
Live from Daytona Beach, Florida, bringing a voice to America's forgotten working class, speaking the truth for the America that Washington left behind, making America great again, 1 hour at a time. This is Trump Talk Live, where we the people have the right voice. Presented by the Republican Party of Volusia County. Here now are your hosts for this episode, Vic Baker and Joe Fieldus.
Greetings, fellow American Patriot Trumppublicans, and welcome to the Pull Off the Band-Aid Senatorial Spanking Bombshell Witness Attorney General Slapping Made in America episode of Trump Talk Live, the home of fearless truth-telling about President Donald Trump and his mission to make America great again, whether Congress gets aboard the Trump train or not. GOP senators got called to the woodshed at the White House this week, where a determined President Donald Trump spared no words in telling them to do your job and cancel the August recess unless the Senate keeps its biggest promise to the American people. The president reminded senators to their shameless faces that their failure to repeal and replace Obamacare is a blot upon the Republicans who have been making that empty promise for nearly 8 years. It's showtime, senators. No more excuses. Our president has delivered a bitter pill without any sugarcoating. Either keep your biggest promise to the American people, or the Trump nation, in its outrage, will have two words for you in 2018. You're fired. Congress is 535 chickens in search of one head. Obamacare is a festering, bloated boil on the American body politic. We need to heal our economy, but it won't happen until Congress steps up. Do your job. Senator John McCain is sidelined by brain cancer. And as he fights for his very life, the Republican majority has placed itself on the critical list. Donald Jr., Jared Kushner, and Paul Manafort take the hot seat next week, and word is out that Special Counsel Mueller is fishing around in President Trump's personal finances. Looks like Comey got his wish, a rogue special prosecutor seeking to dig into Donald Trump's personal history in order to accomplish a deep state coup. Will the president fire Mueller if he oversteps? Stay tuned. And through all of this, Congressman Ron DeSantis hints that some top Obaministas may be next on the hit list for their shenanigans unmasking the names of Trump associates, perhaps for political ends. This will not end well. So, through all this, our president is enforcing immigration laws, rolling back regulations, shutting down the nanny state, and celebrating all things made in America. I'm your Trumpublican host, Vic Baker, webcasting Trump Talk Live. We were trying for the first time on Facebook Live. It hasn't worked, folks. It's on YouTube. We welcome our webcast viewers on YouTube. We're going to work on Facebook next week. A shout out to Volusia Teenage Republican President Duncan DeMarche and Malcolm Swaggerty, who's in the studio also, handling the Great Again Cam controls again tonight. And we welcome Volusia Trump-Pence 2016 campaign chair Joe Fieldis, filling in for Volusia County Republican chair Tony Ledbetter as tonight's Trump Talk Live co-host. Joe.
Good evening, Vic. Hello, friends. On a Thursday night 1 year ago, my wife and I had the privilege of being in Cleveland, Ohio, to witness Donald Trump declared Republican Party nominee for President of the United States. The first night of the convention was exciting. Everyone had heard about the protesters. We never saw any. And there was talk of a so-called contested convention. That was also a nothing burger. So things were going along very smoothly, kind of calm, actually. But then America's mayor, Rudy Giuliani, came on stage and lifted the roof off the building.
In the last 7 months, there have been 5 major Islamic terrorist attacks on us and our allies. We must not be afraid to define our enemy. It is Islamic extremist terrorism. For the purposes of the media, I did not say all of Islam. I did not say most of Islam. I said Islamic extremist terrorism. You know who you are. And we're coming to get you.
The next morning, at a breakfast for the Florida delegation, Rudy came to speak to us. When he walked into the room, it exploded with cheers and applause. Rudy had a sore throat from his epic speech that night, and he could barely speak when he started. But like the great warhorse that he is, he soon recovered his voice and gave us a terrific talk about how much work was ahead and how much America needed Donald Trump. I wish I had time to tell you more about the beautiful speeches from Melania, Ivanka, Don Jr., Eric, and Tiffany. I recall Mike Pence mentioning during his speech how amazing the Trump children are and how they're a reflection of their father. We have a saying in Indiana, he said, you can't fake your kids. So true. And then came the big night. It was a glorious moment, something the political experts and pollsters had dismissed as impossible, something that had been fiercely resisted by much of the Republican Party establishment. But all their efforts to stop him had failed because he had us, and we, the people, knew a real leader had finally arrived.
I have joined the political arena so that the powerful can no longer beat up on people who cannot defend themselves. Nobody knows the system better than me. Which is why I alone can fix it. I am going to bring back our jobs to Ohio and Pennsylvania and New York and Michigan and all of America. And I am not going to let companies move to other countries, firing their employees along the way without consequence. Not going to happen anymore. It is time to show the whole world that America is back, bigger and better and stronger than ever before. We will make America strong again. We will make America proud again. We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again. God bless you and good night. I love you.
Right after the speech, the Clinton campaign released a statement that said, quote, "Tonight, Donald Trump painted a dark picture of America in decline," end quote. In collusion with her campaign, the media got Hillary's message out like crazed parrots, and the dark speech narrative was everywhere, on TV, in the morning papers, on Twitter, everywhere. Trump was the Prince of Darkness, and just short weeks later, if you remember, all of us were called deplorable. Vic, no matter how tired we get of the donkey media attacking our president, let's remember that he can handle it, and most importantly, he won't ever stop working for us. In return, we must keep fighting for him. Let's roll.
Well, Joe, we want to remind our listeners and viewers you can call us toll-free, 1-800-927-0033, anywhere in the country. We're on YouTube tonight. We try to get on Facebook, but the computer didn't cooperate, so we'll work on that next time. First off the docket tonight, John McCain. He has brain cancer. We're sad for that. We don't wish that on anybody. John McCain has not been a reliable ally of President Trump, but certainly nobody wishes him ill. And we certainly hope he recovers, and somehow this is a very dire diagnosis, so it's very, very sad for everybody, but we hope that the senator can recover from this if he can. But in any case, that's the news on that. We're going to move on and just say that already there's a woman who challenged John McCain in the primary last year and got 39% of the vote in a crowded field and almost beat him if there hadn't been a crowded field. Her name is Dr. Kelly Ward. She's a former state senator in Arizona. I interviewed her just the other night because the Citizens for Trump has endorsed her for the primary campaign against Senator Jeff Flake, whom she has dubbed Senator Sanctuary in Arizona. And Kelly Ward is considered the odds-on favorite if McCain retires, which it may very well happen. She's considered the odds-on favorite to get appointed by the Arizona governor to fill his seat. And that would be the addition of a reliable Trump-Republican to the U.S. Senate. We hope if Senator McCain, we don't wish him ill. We hope his health is all right. But he may decide he wants to retire, although we're hearing that he's going to try to keep working as long as he can. So, in any case, we move on to the next topic. The next topic on the list. And where are we? The health bill. The President of the United States, health care reform. You know, he pushed and pushed and pushed and got the House by barely one vote to get health care reform passed there. And that was an imperfect bill, certainly. And there's no such thing as a perfect bill. But in any case, the idea is that there's some people in the Senate that decide they want a perfect bill that fits everything they want, or they'll vote no. But the alternative is to let Obamacare crash everyone's lives. It's been doing it for 8 years now. So the president called them to the White House for a little talk, a little luncheon. He gave them what I call a little Senate spanking. And let's hear the first comment from the president.
We're in this room today to deliver on our promise to the American people to repeal Obamacare and to ensure that they have the health care that they need. We have no choice. We have to repeal and replace Obamacare. We can repeal it, but the best is repeal and replace, and let's get going.
And he further said it's been a failure all the way through, this Obamacare. And he said it's unaffordable and doesn't provide the care that people need.
Since 2013, Obamacare premiums have skyrocketed. In Alaska, they went up over 200% recently. We know that. In Arizona, they've been up 118%. And those states are good compared to some of the numbers that are coming out. Despite the promise that premiums would decrease by $2,500 on average, they've actually increased by almost $3,000, and even much more than that in some cases.
And President Trump called out his predecessor for perpetrating the biggest lie of American politics on the American people.
It's crushing the middle class and the families of the middle class. It's frankly crushing our country. Obamacare was a big lie. You can keep your doctor, lie. You can keep your plan, lie. It was a lie directly from the president. You can keep your doctor, you can keep your plan. 28 times he said it. 28 times. And it was a lie, and he knew it was. And now it's hurting this country irreparably.
Now, he just called them out, and we're going to talk more about what he wants them to do after we return.
Your voice can be heard loud and clear right here on Trump Talk Live. Our local number is 239-0033. You can call us toll-free from anywhere in the USA at 800-927-0033. Stay tuned as we peel away those layers of liberal hypocrisy right here on Trump Talk Live, where the deplorables are ignored no more.
Feeling stuck in a state of compensation stagnation? You know, another year with no raise. Then let State Farm agent Sonia Mori in DeLand help you get to a better state with a discount double check that can stretch your hard-earned dollars a little farther. Sonia will go through your car insurance to make sure you're getting all the discounts you deserve. Discounts that could add up to 40% and put a few hundred extra dollars in your pocket. Sound good? Then get your budget to a better state by calling State Farm agent Sonia Mori in DeLand today. Discounts may vary state to state.
Here's an exciting Ocean Center update. I'm Dave Lang. The Harlem Globetrotters are coming to the Ocean Center. Well, not till December 9th, but this show will be a sellout. Tickets go on sale at the end of this month, July 31st. Harlem Globetrotters in December. Get your tickets in July. Go to oceancenter.com for details. I'm Dave Lang.
Your voice can be heard loud and clear right here on Trump Talk Live. Our local number is 239-0033. You can call us toll-free from anywhere in the USA at 800-927-0033.
So, continuing with the president, he's giving them quite a lecture at lunch yesterday, and he told them people are paying large sums of money just to avoid paying the incredibly expensive cost of Obamacare because
it's crushing the middle class and the families of the middle class. It's frankly crushing our country. Obamacare was a big lie. You can keep your doctor, lie. If Obamacare is not repealed in 2018, over 1,300 counties in the United States will have only one insurer. 40 counties will have absolutely no coverage in the exchange. I've been here just 6 months. I'm ready to act. I have pen in hand, believe me. I'm sitting in that office. I have pen in hand. You never had that before. You know, for 7 years you had an easy route. We'll repeal, we'll replace, and he's never going to sign it. But I'm signing it. So it's a little bit different. But I'm ready to act. For 7 years, you promised the American people that you would repeal Obamacare. People are hurting. Inaction is not an option. And frankly, I don't think we should leave town unless we have a health insurance plan, unless we can give our people great health care. Because we're close. We're very close.
But not close enough. But it seems to me that President Trump is determined to push him over the edge. Now, he also issued a not-so-veiled threat to senators, including Senator Dean Heller, who sat right to his right side, the senator from Nevada, who's a no vote right now, and basically in joking way said, "You do want to keep your job, don't you, Senator Heller?" Let's hear what he had to say.
Any senator who votes against starting debate is really telling America that you're fine with Obamacare. But being fine with Obamacare isn't an option for another reason, because it's gone. It's failed. It's not going to be around. We pay hundreds of millions of dollars a month in subsidy that the courts don't even want us to pay. And when those payments stop, it stops immediately.
Now, there's something to note, Joe, about those subsidies. Obama implemented them in an illegal way. He had never had authorization from Congress for some of these subsidies going to the insurance companies, and so the courts have held that that's illegal. That's a violation of separation of powers because Congress did not authorize that expenditure. If Trump chooses, he can just drop all the appeals, and all of a sudden the courts will slam down, and all those subsidies stop, like the slam. And he knows it, and so do members of the Senate know it. He has that power to do that, and he's a president who would be willing to do it.
Vic, we need some help from the Republicans in the Senate. 48 current Republican senators supported the 2015 Obamacare repeal bill, including Senators Lisa Murkowski of Alaska and Shelley Moore Capito of West Virginia. Both of those senators now oppose the McConnell measure. The utter hypocrisy here is breathtaking. The Republicans today are just too willing to side with the progressives. Rush pointed out the other day, what's the point of voting Republican?
Mitch McConnell, just before that meeting, the day before, had some comments about what happened.
I regret that the effort to repeal and immediately replace the failures of Obamacare will not be successful. That doesn't mean we should give up. We will now try a different way to bring the American people relief from Obamacare. I think we owe them at least that much. In the coming days, the Senate will take up and vote on a repeal of Obamacare combined with a stable 2-year transition period as we work toward patient-centered health care. A majority of the Senate voted to pass the same repeal legislation back in 2015. President Obama vetoed it then. President Trump will sign it now. I imagine many Democrats were celebrating last night. I hope they consider what they are celebrating.
Under the old rule, be careful what you wish for, Joe. And then he also said the Democrats' hands are dirty in this.
The American people are hurting. They need relief. And it's regretful that our Democratic colleagues decided early on that they did not want to engage with us seriously in the process to deliver that relief. But this doesn't have to be the end of the story. Passing the repeal legislation will allow us to accomplish what we need to do on behalf of our people. Our Democratic friends have spoken a lot recently about wanting bipartisan solutions. Passing this legislation will provide the opportunity for senators of all parties to engage with a fresh start and a new beginning.
So there you have it, Joe.
Vic, everyone, I think, remembers this, but let's just remind us. Democrats alone gave us the poison pill of Obamacare without a single Republican vote in 2010. Now the Democrats stand aside and laugh as we slowly die of Obamacare. Republicans promised to stop this plan all along, and now they won't do that. I call these people Republicrats, or you can call them the Uniparty. But these politicians taken together who cannot find a way to help the American people, they simply don't have our best interest in mind, do they?
They're feathering their own nests, and that's why Donald Trump is so popular with the average American. And not so average an American is J.P. Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon, who is obviously one of the big high-paid CEOs, bankers in America. And Jamie Dimon actually wagged his finger at Congress a little bit this week, and he slapped them hard. He said, it's tough for us to keep in business with what you're doing to the economy here. Let's hear what he had to say.
We've been growing at 1.5% to 2% in spite of stupidity and political gridlock, because the American business sector is powerful and strong and is going to grow regardless when people wake up in the morning. They want to feed their kids. They want to buy a home. They want to do things. The same with American businesses. What I'm saying is that it would be much stronger growth had we made intelligent decisions and were there not gridlock.
Gridlock. We've always had gridlock. It's worse now than ever. But he says the system is a tangled mess, and somebody's got to untie this.
We have become one of the most bureaucratic, confusing, litigious societies on the planet. It's almost an embarrassment being an American citizen traveling around the world and listening to the stupid shit we have to deal with in this country. And, at one point, we all have to get our act together or we won't do what we're supposed to do for the average Americans. And unfortunately, people write about this thing like it's for corporations. It's not for corporations. Competitive taxes are important for business and business growth, which is important for jobs and wage growth.
Vic, Republican Ron DeSantis, our friend, had a few things to say this last couple of days. He pointed out, and this is a quote, when you're up here, yeah, we have Republican majorities, a Republican president, but in Washington, that's like every day is a road game in the SEC. DeSantis says every single person, when they come into the House, you have to make a decision on day one. Is this place a swamp you want to drain, or is it a hot tub where you just kind of get in and have a good time and become part of the party? If you're really doing significant reform, if you're really taking power out of Washington, you absolutely will be alienated some of the lobbying interest up here. That's just the reality of the situation. And if you decide, say, well, I'm going to play the game, the problem is by the time you get in position to really reform things, you've really become part of Washington.
Okay, we have a caller, Jack. I think it says NC. Does that mean North Carolina? Calling for North Carolina.
Yeah, Mark Bernier told me I should call you guys.
Jack,
we
welcome
have
to Truck
a lot
Talk
of fun.
Yeah, thanks for calling in.
It may not be fun for you because I'm a veteran, first of all, and I served in Germany during the Cold War when Russia was our enemy. And as far as I'm concerned, Putin is a KGB agent with 17 years in, and he was deeply disturbed by watching East Germany fall and become democracy.
Right. As I recall, Republicans. Yeah, but let me just ask you, Jack. The screen tells me you were calling about Trump health. You're switching gears here.
Well, I'll do Trump health.
Yeah, let's talk about that. That's what we're talking about tonight. That other.
I want to understand how you can excuse a bill that is going to give almost $1 billion in tax breaks to the top 5% and take health care away from up to 32 million people over the next 10 years.
Whoa, that is not; those numbers are not correct. The CBO scoring is wrong most of the time. And first of all, most of the people. Well, if you allow me to just finish, most of the people on Obamacare are on there because they're mandated to be on there. A good many millions of people are going to take themselves off of Obamacare because, I had Obamacare, and I can tell you my deductibles were $6,500 for myself and $6,500 for my wife. We could not afford to do anything with it. It was useless. If you get coverage that doesn't cover anything and it costs you $500 a month plus $1,000 a month tax subsidy on top of it, all you're doing is feeding money from Obama's treasury, which is what they did, to the rich insurance companies. So you talk about feeding that rich insurance companies. It was Obamacare that's doing that at our expense. What we want is market-driven care, direct primary care, where you can contract with your doctor directly, get the insurance company out of the business of routine care, and the catastrophic care can be cheaper because you can pick the coverage that you need, not what the government says you have to have. You, sir, do not need pregnancy coverage. I, sir, do not need pregnancy coverage, and that was Obamacare requires that. So don't you tell me that the Republican bill is worse than Obamacare. It's a disaster. Goodbye, Jack. Okay, we're done with that. We're going to take another break and come back and talk about election integrity when Trump Talk Live continues.
Your voice can be heard loud and clear right here on Trump Talk Live. Our local number is 239-0033. You can call us toll-free from anywhere in the USA at 800-927-0033. Stay tuned for more Trump Talk Live, speaking for the America the DC elites forgot.
We're looking for angels, classroom angels. Join WNDB and the City of Daytona Beach for the 2017 Mayor's Back to School Backpack Giveaway.
We need supplies for 3,500 backpacks, and this is where you come in. Please drop off school supplies for students of all ages at any of the WNDB back-to-school supply boxes throughout the city. Your donations will ensure all of our neighbors start this school year with the supplies they need. School supply locations include Geico, Ruin Zifra, Metro PCS, and all 4 city recreation centers, as well as City Hall, Police and Fire Headquarters. Thanks in advance from all of us at WNDB. Backpack giveaway events are Saturdays, July 22nd, July 29th, August 5th, and August 12th for City of Daytona residents. For distribution locations, hours, and volunteer information, call 386-671-8253. That's 386-671-8253.
Your voice can be heard loud and clear right here on Trump Talk Live. Our local number is 239-0033. You can call us toll-free from anywhere in the USA at 800-927-0033.
Vic, let's say thank you to our sponsors, Sonia Morey and DeLand. Make her your State Farm agent. Milne Roofing here in Daytona, 386-968-8688 for all your roofing needs. And the best pizza in DeLand, Marino's Pizza.
Okay, Joe, we're back on with more Trump Talk Live. We have, Hastings is on from Ormond Beach, and we welcome you to Trump Talk Live tonight, Hastings.
Well, thank you very much. I've been listening to this program for several weeks, and tonight it seems to me like one of the points that needs to be made is that we are seeing leadership in Washington. Trump is not afraid. He takes them all on. He says what he needs to say. He wasn't happy with Sessions, so he says it. He gets attacked. He has no fear, and that's what leaders do. And I'm really proud of him for showing the leadership and the courage to go up against the Senate, who won't pass a bill that needs to be passed, and against the other issues where, it needs to be said. We need to have the regulations cut back. We need to have more jobs in America, and he is doing what he said he would do, and I'm very proud of him.
He's not asking permission, he's leading. There was a time when the world was under challenge in previous generations when people like Winston Churchill came forward. I believe leaders like that are a gift from God, They don't back down, they don't surrender, they lead. And you have leaders and you have followers and you have obstructionists. Those are 3 kinds of people.
And Vic, the thought it seems to me that the saying, we have nothing to fear but fear itself, came to mind as I was listening to tonight's discussion. That's what leadership is. Leadership is not afraid, and Donald Trump is not afraid.
He does not lead out of fear, and yes, he sometimes says some things that some people think are inopportune, but he says things, everything he says is very carefully calculated, and he's not doing things on the fly. He knows what he's doing. The man knows what he's doing. Hastings.
And I agree 100% that he knows what he's doing.
Hastings, thank you for your call. Thank you for calling Trump Talk Live, and we appreciate your listening.
Vic, Rush, of course, had something to say about this beatdown that they're putting on the president constantly, and it's important for people to know that they may think it's a beatdown, but Trump knows how to do this. Here's the quote from Rush. He says, "Everything I hear, Trump is in a fine mood. Everything I hear, Trump's enjoying his life as president. He's frustrated by things, but I mean he's not cowering in a corner, fearful or worried and angry. He's living his life. He's doing what he was elected to do the best he can. The other side simply can't get over this. They can't abide it. They can't believe that after 2 years, there's not something that's gone wrong and that's gone on just the past 6 months, folks. It's been going on for 2 years. They can't believe they're not been able to take Trump down."
True enough, Joe. And what they say, the best revenge is living well.
Yes,
well, he's
that's
living
right.
well. Now, he unrolled his bipartisan Election Integrity Commission this week. 30 states have been willing to comply, 20 other states not so much. What do they have to hide? That's what the president's asking. This commission is bipartisan, and he wants to get to the bottom of who's cheating on the voter rolls. Who doesn't belong on the voter rolls? We understand that the state of Colorado, a lot of people just dropped them. Thousands of people dropped themselves off the voter rolls when they knew the federal government was going to come looking. And here's what President Trump had to say about voter fraud and what it does to us.
Every time voter fraud occurs, it cancels out the vote of a lawful citizen and undermines democracy. Can't let that happen. Any form of illegal or fraudulent voting, whether by non-citizens or the deceased, and any form of voter suppression or intimidation must be stopped. I'm pleased that more than 30 states have already agreed to share the information with the Commission, and the other states, that information will be forthcoming.
Okay, so President Trump said, he has a question for these states that don't want to give up their voter rolls, which happen to be public records. So what's the point? It's all public record. It's not a privacy issue. These same states that won't give the records of their voter rolls to the federal government because they fear that Donald Trump will find out the truth, these states sell the information on their voter rolls to marketers. Are you kidding me? So here's what he had to say about that.
If any state does not want to share this information, one has to wonder what they're worried about. And I asked the Vice President, I asked the Commission, what are they worried about? There's something. There always is.
You're right. What are they hiding? What are they hiding? Listen, it's a solemn obligation. You take an oath of office. Every vote is important. We teach that. We go and work the polls. We sweat in the summertime when it's early voting, and it's really tough to do that because every vote counts to us as Republicans. We want our voters to have their vote count. Well, it doesn't count so much if you have thousands of people cheating the system. Here's what he said.
All public officials have a profound responsibility to protect the integrity of the vote. We have no choice. We want to make America great again. We have to protect the integrity of the vote and our voters.
And the president wants you to understand, this is a bipartisan commission no matter what they say. This is not about Democrats and Republicans. It's not about us getting an edge on the other party. It's about everybody getting the chance to have an honest election.
This is not a Democrat or a Republican issue. It's an American issue. It's about the concern of so many Americans that improper voting is taking place and canceling out the votes of lawful American citizens. That is why President Theodore Roosevelt once said, it is the affair of every honest voter, wherever born, to see that no fraudulent voting is allowed.
That settles that. We'll find out what the real numbers are and whether Hillary's vaunted popular vote really was there or was just an imagination. Now, citing the recusal that Sessions did right after he got into office, President Trump had a little buyer's remorse today or this week when he talked to the New York Times, and it was not expected. And they're all saying, oh, look what he did. He undermined his attorney general. Well, the fact is, this is a strategy because Donald Trump doesn't have confidence in an attorney general that doesn't have his back. I mean, he's supposed to uphold the law, but he's supposed to obviously be part of the administration. So he's completely neutered himself in the face of all these people trying to undo him. And let's just hear Donald Trump talk first.
Sessions gets the job. Right after he gets the job, he recuses himself.
Was that a mistake?
Well, Sessions should have never recused himself. And if he was going to recuse himself, he should have told me before he took the job, and I would have picked somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
He gave you no heads up at all in any sense?
Zero.
Okay.
So Jeff Sessions takes the job, gets into the job, recuses himself. I then have, which frankly, I think is very unfair to the president.
All this in the context of Bob Mueller being appointed special prosecutor. And Joe, you may remember that Scooter Libby during the Bush administration, the George W. Bush administration, got indicted and sent to prison because he actually misstated something to the FBI. He wasn't the one that leaked Valerie Plame's identity. It was Richard Armitage of the State Department who actually got off scot-free. So, the real culprits get away with it, and they find a scapegoat. They find a classic scapegoat. That's the danger. A special prosecutor is something like a cancer. It spreads everywhere.
It goes everywhere, and he has tremendous power of the state behind him. Vic, Mr. Mueller has assembled a team of 13 Democrat lawyers. Newt has talked about this. There's not a pro-Trump lawyer or Republican lawyer on his team. It's being reported that just yesterday, this morning, that the special counsel plans to put Donald Trump's private life, not private life, his business transactions on trial. He's going deeper than the Russia probe. Now, in that same interview with the New York Times that he talked about Attorney General Sessions, he talked about the fact that Mr. Mueller should not go beyond the Russia probe. The president's going to be faced with a dilemma. This is becoming very interesting right fast. If the president fires Mueller, he creates a political firestorm. If he lets Mueller run amok with his team of Democrat lawyers, then it's death by 1,000 cuts for the president for years to come. These things go on a long time. The president needed an attorney general at the beginning who would be able to short-circuit this witch hunt before it got out of hand. And then, of course, with the recusal without warning and for no good reason, we're now getting to the point we are out of hand. This is what we do know is that the New York Times interview showed that the president knows the game that's afoot, and he's not going to sit passively by.
No, but at the same time, his son, Donald Jr., his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, and Paul Manafort, who was his campaign manager up to the convention, are all going under oath on Capitol Hill next week to testify. That's going to be interesting to see what leaks out of that, because I'm not sure if it's on behind the scenes or not. I didn't see that. But the former Trump advisor on the campaign was a guy named Mike Caputo. Also, you worked with Roger Stone on the campaign. Mike Caputo's a New Yorker, like Trump, and like Roger Stone has been. And Mike Caputo was questioned in a recent interview this week about his interview, and he had a theory about why the Democrats are pursuing this Russian. He calls it the Russian collusion delusion.
I think they're looking for reasons to extend this as long as they can. I mean, we know from Shattered, the book that was published after the election about Hillary Clinton's campaign, that her top team met the day after her failure on Election Day and decided that the Russian collusion delusion was going to be the way that they tied Donald Trump's hands. And they've been pretty successful with that. I expect they want that success to stay, to keep going as long as possible.
Now, Caputo says Donald Trump Jr. was transparent, releasing the emails, maybe not at first, but once the question came up, he certainly released them. He doesn't feel he has anything to hide from those emails.
Each one of us is kind of a frog in the water, and this kind of thing turns up the heat on all of us, those of us who find ourselves in the jackpot of this investigation. And, sure, I guess it extends the life of it. Perhaps it makes it more complicated for us. But I'm satisfied with Donald Trump Jr.'s candor when he kind of took blame for it and said he would have done things differently. I've always respected Donald Trump Jr. and all of the kids. I have to tell you, if this makes it tougher on us, it's okay, because here's the thing. Donald Trump Sr. would not be president today without the hard work of Donald Jr. and his siblings. And if he made a few mistakes here or there, I think the country and myself, I can forgive him for it.
Now, Caputo also correctly points out, that opposition research has been a common practice since the time of Thomas Jefferson versus John Adams. It is not something new. It is not treason. It's not collusion. It's part of politics. You dig up dirt on your opponent and use it in the campaign.
Well, was there anything interesting to research here, Vic? Well, maybe there was. Byron York points out, here's some of the background of which Donald Jr. decided that maybe this is a meeting that maybe it would be good research to know. The public learned on March 10th, 2015, that Hillary Clinton had 60,000 emails on her private email system, that she had turned over about half to the State Department and destroyed the rest, which she said were personal and not related to her work as Secretary of State.
About yoga and wedding dresses.
Yes. Now, the public learned later the links of which Clinton made sure that the personal yoga emails were completely and permanently deleted. Her team used a commercial strength program called Bleach Bit to erase all traces of the emails, and they used hammers to physically destroy mobile devices that might have had the emails on them. The person who did the actual deleting later cited legal privileges in the Fifth Amendment to avoid talking about to the FBI and Congress.
Well, that's also because Comey let them get away with it. They interview these people without getting waivers from them.
Yeah.
And for that reason, because of protections, they cannot be. Then they allowed them to claim they were attorneys and therefore have attorney-client privilege with her.
Well, but given this background, though, I mean, don't you?
That's kind of like the Menendez brothers killing their parents and then pleading for the mercy of the court because they're orphans.
Yes. But with that background, it's pretty reasonable, as the president said when he was asked about this overseas, it's pretty reasonable to accept that meeting.
Yeah, I would say so. Now, one last comment from Caputo about opposition research.
But, I mean, I got to agree with the president on this. When we had opposition research offers coming across the transom, a flow of it coming in at a rate I've never seen in the 30 years of my campaign career. I've never seen anything like it. They were coming across the transom across every platform. Everybody was getting this stuff. So you have to understand why all of us were looking for a way to defeat Hillary Clinton, and you got to understand why Donald Trump Jr., who doesn't have a lot of experience in campaigns, can fall into this kind of a situation.
So we'll return with more Trump Talk Live, talking about what Ron DeSantis has to say about some of the Obamanistas that are going to get in the hot seat pretty soon.
Your voice can be heard loud and clear right here on Trump Talk Live. Our local number is 239-0033. You can call us toll-free from anywhere in the USA at 800-927-0033. Don't touch that dial. More Trump Talk Live is moments away, where we the people have the right voice.
Hey guys, pardon the advertising interruption to your radio program. Do yourself a favor and please listen carefully. If you have tried or wanted to try Viagra or other male prescriptions in the last few years, you need to hear about Noxitril, the super pill that will transform your sex life forever. You see, Noxitril has been formulated and developed in U.S. FDA labs, and it's the real deal. Noxitril works, period. Strong, explosive results that increase blood flow fast. And best of all, there are no side effects like prescription meds. After years of research, the developers of Noxitril got it right. This remarkable pill is off the charts. Right now, we encourage you to take advantage of our incredible free bottle offer. So what are you waiting for? Noxitril. It's that good.
Call now and find out how to get a free bottle of Noxitril while supplies last. Call 1-800-450-1381. That's 800-450-1381. Free bottles for limited time, so call now. 800-450-1381. 800-450-1381.
Your voice can be heard loud and clear right here on Trump Talk Live. Our local number is 239-0033. You can call us toll-free from anywhere in the USA at 800-927-0033.
Welcome back to Trump Talk Live. We're live on YouTube. Facebook will come next week when we get the computer to cooperate with us. But in the meantime, it's on YouTube Live. You'll be able to see the replay on Facebook a little later this evening, and also the podcast, which you can subscribe to with iTunes and Google Play for free. You can listen on your iPhone or your Android device anytime you want, if you don't want to watch our ugly pusses on camera. So, Congressman Ron DeSantis has been in the news a lot lately because I think he's going to be running for governor, and it's going to be announcing that probably any day now. But in any case, he had some very, very interesting things to say about Obamanistas, who Ben Rhodes being one of them, the Deputy National Security Advisor, who was also one of the folks that helped to lie to us about Obamacare. And then he was made Deputy National Security Advisor.
He's a piece of work.
Assisting the liar for hire Susan Rice. So they come from a family of liars, and in any case, he and the former UN ambassador for Obama, who was unmasking people apparently and had no business doing so. Well, and also Ron DeSantis on the Intelligence Committee wants to get a look at those Comey memos to see what he actually did right. In fact, he had no business releasing those. So let's hear that.
The reports of Comey's memos potentially containing classified information were very concerning to me. I don't know if they did. I think we need to find that out. But Comey himself, under oath, incredibly, he admitted he leaked these memos in order to trigger a special counsel against the president. So it was really weaponized leaking.
Oh, we're back. Yes, the Intel Committee needs to look at the broader issue of leaks that threaten national security, and he wants to know more about who's doing the leaking.
it's not just people are leaking because they think something was wrong with the government and they want some sunlight. I still don't agree with that because I don't think you're a law unto yourself. But this is concerted leaks designed to attack the sitting president. So I think the character of the leaks are different, and I think Comey's leaks are part of that bushel.
Now, the Intel Committee will be asking the Department of Justice to launch a full-out criminal investigation of those leaks, and this is why.
So I think if there's no action being taken, I think it actually has a big effect on what we're able to do in Congress. And I'm somebody, I want to empower our intelligence agency. I think it's very important, but it's very difficult to make that case to the American people if that information is then being used for domestic political warfare.
The Intel Committee will be subpoenaing the Comey memos.
We're working on it. So I think you remember Jason Chaffetz, when he was chairman, he immediately talked to Comey after being fired once the memos were leaked, and he really wanted to pursue the memos. And he has said publicly that Comey was very standoffish about the memos. He did not want to talk about those memos. And so I don't think Jason was successful in doing it. I would absolutely support that if Trey was willing to issue a subpoena for the memos.
Now, the Comey leaks are a huge ethical, if not criminal, breach of trust as far as Ron DeSantis is concerned.
Could you imagine if the run-of-the-mill FBI agent is taking notes with what they're doing and they just decide to start leaking notes about investigations to the press? There is no way the FBI would ever tolerate their line agents doing that. So I do have a problem with it. It seems that Comey was doing that, though, not to facilitate better government. It seems that he was doing it for political insurance.
And Congressman DeSantis wants to know what role the former Obama Deputy National Security Advisor Ben Rhodes may have played in those leaks.
If you look at some of the leaks that have come out, for example, when the president's having a conversation with a foreign leader, there may be a memo that's distributed to the National Security Council. Next thing you know, it's on the front page of the paper. And so we've gotten a lot of information saying, look, there's only so many places that would come from, and the Obama holdover working with Rhodes, that's a place we've been encouraged to look.
So what are you going to do? You're going to bring them in to testify under oath?
Well, I've talked to Chairman Gowdy about it, and remember, they are doing things on the Intelligence Committee, and they're doing a lot more than what the press knows in terms of some of the people that they have brought in. And they've brought in some pretty big names that I'm not authorized to say, but I would like to bring them in to talk to them about it because I want to figure out how all this information was getting out.
Which begs the question, who's going to get indicted here?
I want to know what those are in those Comey memos and see whether there's classified information. I mean, I don't think Donald Trump Jr. is going to get indicted. I think he had a meeting. I don't think a criminal offense was committed. In terms of the political judgment, I think that's fair to criticize, but I don't think that there was a crime committed there.
So we have Gary in DeLand on Trump Talk Live tonight. Gary, thanks for waiting. We appreciate you calling in.
Hey, yes, sir. How you doing tonight, sir? Let's just got a quick question for you. I was reading today that judicial justice got their wish, and they're getting, some 7,000 new emails released from Hillary Clinton. Just wondered, do you think anything's going to come from that?
Well, more than certainly, we're going to learn a lot more about her yoga lessons and her wedding dress choices, I'm sure. Gary, I think that you're sure that the onion's going to peel away a few more times here, little by little. Donald Trump is going to endure through this, and we're going to get to the bottom of this nonsense, and they're going to find out. And there was a famous Democrat who was actually one that could actually work with Republicans. He was the brightest man in the Senate at the time. His name, he was a predecessor of Hillary Clinton in the U.S. Senate from New York, Daniel Patrick Moynihan. I don't know if you remember him or not. I interviewed him many times, and he was fond of martinis, and you could smell it on his breath when you would interview him, but he was smarter, stone cold drunk than most men are sober. And he had something called the law of unintended consequences. I think that's what's going to invoke here. The Democrats are going to suffer from the consequences that they are invoking against Republicans. I think it's going to backfire. In the old days, they call it getting hoist with your own petars, you know? Yeah. Gary, I appreciate you calling in. Thank you.
Gary, let me ask you, where did you read or hear about that, the more emails coming out? Where'd you hear that from?
Okay. On the good old social media Facebook.
Okay.
It was listed under Fox News Politics.
Fox News?
Yeah, and it says FBI turns over 7,000 documents from the Wiener laptop in Clinton case.
Okay. Well, Fox will still give us some news, but the other ones won't. That's true.
Yeah, okay. Hey, can I ask you one quick question? Another question?
Sure.
Is it possible? Is it a legal thing that the Attorney General could read a look at his recusing himself and pull it back?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, he could reevaluate it if he wants. But I think what's more than likely is that Jeff Sessions is going to find a way to gracefully exit, and Trump will have a replacement lined up for him if that happens. So stay tuned on that. I mean, Jeff Sessions has been very loyal to Trump, but I think he made maybe a correct legal judgment, but a big political miscalculation early on.
Well, yeah, just by not discussing it first. Listen, guys, you're doing a great job. Thank you for what you're doing. We appreciate it out here.
Thank you for your support, Gary. We appreciate you calling in. Now, another respected commentator that we actually trust had a few things to say about the deep state taking down President Trump. Lou Dobbs had this to say.
This is an effort to subvert the administration of President Donald Trump. It is nothing less. It is an effort by the deep state to roll over a duly elected president and a legitimate government and to break the will of the American people.
We've known it all along. Donald Trump knows it, and he knows he's got to deal with it. Somehow it doesn't seem to be deterring him. And it's nothing less than a deep state coup attempt by all the bureaucrats and career Republicans and Democrats alike who don't like somebody changing the way they feather their own nests.
This is no longer about Republicans and Democrats, conservatives and liberals. This is about a full-on assault by the left, the Democratic Party, to absolutely carry out a coup d'etat against President Trump, aided by the left-wing media. There's no the suggestion there's collusion between Trump and the Russians when we have absolute evidence of collusion between the Clinton Foundation, Secretary of State Clinton, and the Russians. I mean, this, with my real God, money. What does it take?
That's Lou Dobbs. Tell us what you really think, Lou. Susan Rice, the liar for hire, will be lying under oath later than expected because she's postponed her testimony, Joe. What a shame.
You know, Lou is right on the money. He's right about that. Here's what we do know. American state media is owned by a handful of globalist conglomerates, and they have common global interest. Since November 9th, their intent has been to undermine and destroy the Trump presidency and his America First agenda. In other countries, they would call that a coup. Here we call it free press, which is pretty laughable, Vic, because our state media, like the old Soviet Pravda, is totally bought and paid for.
Bought and paid for is right. Now, another great spokesman for Donald Trump beat up CNN this week. Dr. Sebastian Gorka takes no prisoners. And one of the great comments he had, cut number 5, when Allison Camerata was trying to defend CNN against his all-out assault, he was reminding them, well, first let's listen to number 3, when he says how many people listen to CNN.
None of them adequately disclosed their meetings with Russians until the press found out about it. What's going on?
Nothing. You heard their statements. You heard Don Jr.'s statements that told you everything you need to know. He's not even a member of the administration. I mean, this is the shocking thing. Again, the amount of time you spend in desperation on a topic that has plummeted you to 13th place in viewership ranking across America. I mean, more people watch Nick at Night cartoons than CNN today.
Our ratings are doing just fine. I mean, if you want to go there, 13th. Our ratings are doing just fine. But what ratings represent is that people 11. Are interested in this. And our ratings
Nick
reflect
at Night is 11.
that
more
Americans
people are interested in cartoons.
More people are interested in cartoons. We thank you. Joe thanks you. I thank you. Duncan thanks you for watching and listening to Trump Talk Live. We'll see you next week at Thursday for Fearless Truth Telling.
Feeling stuck in a state of compensation stagnation? You know, another year with no raise. Then let State Farm agent Sonia Mori in DeLand help you get to a better state with a discount double check that can stretch your hard-earned dollars a little farther. Sonia will go through your car insurance to make sure you're getting all the discounts you deserve. Discounts that could add up to 40% and put a few $100 extra in your pocket. Sound good? Then get your budget to a better state by calling State Farm agent Sonia Mori in DeLand today. Discounts may vary state to state.
You've been listening to Trump Talk Live, making America great again, 1 hour at a time. Follow us at Volusia County Republican Party on Facebook or go to our website, TrumpTalkLive.com for updates. Join your Trump-Publican hosts, Vic Baker and Tony Ledbetter, for another fearless edition of Trump Talk Live next Thursday at 7 p.m. right here on WNDB 1150 AM and 93.5 FM. Trump Talk Live is